Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome back, or welcome to my channel. There's some hairs on the mic. Um, if you're new here, consider subscribing. No pressure. If you don't want to, don't have to. Um, but if you want to hear more from me, see me more, hang out, that would be cool. But yeah, no brush. No brush. No pressure. Oh god. Okay. Tonight, we are well, this is a continuation of my top 10 series. I'm going to be talking about my top 10 favorite books. Um, I kind of have a complicated relationship with reading. I used to love reading. Okay, yeah, it'll be top 10, or top 11, or top 12. But I'm going to talk about my journey with reading a little bit. Because a lot of these books I haven't read in a really long time. And I kind of just want to explain why. And like, yeah. Anyways, so when I was a kid, I loved to read. I would race home from school to read. I would stay up past my bedtime to read. Yeah, reading was like my favorite thing to do. It was way before I got into uh, movies and TV. I mean, I liked those things, but reading was like my favorite hobby. I read so many books, I can't even name them off the top of my head, but I was a very avid reader. I was really good at reading. I was a fast reader. Um, yeah, love. I used to love to read. Now, then in high school, I actually read a lot of good books in high school. But yeah, I in college, I did not read other than like schoolwork, and I just got really not addicted, but really invested in television and movies, and I kind of lost my love for reading. And I've been trying, over the past couple years, I've been trying to reignite that spark. I've read a couple books, but realistically, honestly, I haven't read that much in the past couple years. But I'm trying. This year for me is all about just like bettering my life, and this channel being one. Um, and I want to get back into reading, so because I've read so many great books and I want to read more. And I want to improve my vocabulary. I feel like I say like and just so much now. I used to have a great vocabulary. I just feel like reading would help me a lot. And it's like a nice peaceful activity I can enjoy. And my ADD, I'm getting back on my ADD medicine. And I think I'll be able to actually focus on what I'm reading. Oh my god, one of these books is like messed up. I've had it for a really long time. Okay, so that's where I'm at with reading. In a separate video that I'm gonna film tonight, I'm gonna talk about my TBR, which is just gonna be a short video because there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books. Okay, so top 10. Well, first, I'm gonna, yeah. 1, 2, 3. Out of my top 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12. Out of my 12 favorite books, I have 8 of them. I have 8 of them. Excuse me. I have 8 of them. I think I might be coming down with a cold. My throat has been kind of scratchy and my nose sniffly, so I'm trying to film a couple videos now in case I do get sick. Yeah. Okay. So this is not going to be in any particular order. Usually in my top 10 videos, I'll do them in order, but I really can't choose which. I haven't read any of these books in a long time, and I really just can't choose a favorite because they're just all so different, you know. Okay, so the first one, I guess it's gonna be backwards for you. Whoops. House of Many Ways by Diana Wynne Jones. This is my favorite book when I was a kid. This was one of the first novels I read, I think. No, that's not true. Not one of the first novels I ever read. But it's one of my. Yeah, I loved this book as a kid. It's part of the Howl's Moving Castle universe. It's a sequel, I believe. It's either a prequel or a sequel. Yeah. It's about a girl named Charmaine. Well, actually, I'll read the little blurb on the back. When Charmaine Baker agreed to look after her great uncle's house, she thought she was getting blissful parent free time to read. She didn't realize that the house bent space and time, and she did not expect to become responsible for an extremely magical stray dog and a muddled young apprentice wizard. Now, somehow, she's been targeted by a terrifying creature called a Lubbock, too, and becomes central to the king's urgent search for the fabled elf gift that will save the country. The king is so desperate to find the elf gift, he's called in an intimidating sorceress named Sophie to help. And where Sophie is, the great wizard Howl and the fire demon Calcifer won't be far behind. How did respectable Charmaine end up in such a mess, and how will she get herself out of it? And it is like a children's book, or a young adult. Well, it's more of a children's book. But yeah, it was really good. If you're looking for an easy read, fun, yeah, it's a children's book, but I like reading children's book and young adult novels from time to time. That's kind of what I'm planning on doing first to get back into reading, is reading something I know won't be super challenging, and it'll be fun. So, that's a good one. Nostalgic. I just remembered another one of my favorite books as a kid was called Savvy, about people with really interesting superpowers. There were a lot of good books I read as a kid. Yeah. Okay, the next book I don't have. I'm gonna actually, yeah, I'll talk about the books I don't have. Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. One of my favorite books. I read that in high school. I can't remember why I like it so much, but it's about a woman named Janie, and she has this book, this boon. I don't know what I'm saying. This guy in her life named Tea Cake, and there's like a flood at the end. I don't really remember the book that much, but I know I loved it, and whenever I think about my favorite books, I know that's one of them. So there's that one. We have Dune. I loved Dune. I had to read Dune in high school for AP Literature, and I really enjoyed it. It was long as hell, but it was a really cool universe. Um, and I read it before it got popular. I feel like it wasn't super, it wasn't super mainstream. Um, well, I guess it was, but none of my friends had read it, so I felt kind of ahead of the pack on that. I love the color purple. I'm wearing purple. I actually love the color purple too. Um, The Circle by David Eggers. Thriller, techno thriller. That one was really good. I read that during the pandemic. I felt like a child again. I would race home after work and read that. That was really good. There's a movie version. Not as good, but the book was great. And Mouse, which is a graphic novel about the Holocaust and Nazis, except the roles are reversed. So, well, not the roles are reversed, but um, it's like animals instead of humans. It's interesting. It's like mice and cats, and the Nazis are cats. I'm doing a bad job explaining it, but if you haven't read it, I feel like most people my age have read it for school. But yeah, it's really good. Um, and I think it's an interesting way to talk about the Holocaust, especially when um, young adults are reading it. I think it's a interesting perspective. Yeah, it's a good one, and it made me like, and I don't. It was one of the first like historical. Well, is it? It's not fiction. Well, it's fiction, but I don't know how to explain it. But it made me kind of like get into history more. Um, yeah, that's a really good one. I kind of forgot about that until just now. Okay. Oh, I also put on my favorite short stories. The Most Dangerous Game and The Swimmer. Oh, The Swimmer is such a good short story. So depressing and haunting, but beautiful. Um, if you haven't read that, it's really good. I forget who it's by, John something. I'm so bad at names for authors and stuff like that. Okay, next on the list, Brave New World. I think this is my school copy. I think I took this from school. I mean, I feel like everybody's read this. Classic. I love dystopian society books. Um, Aldous Huxley's Tour de Force, Brave New World, is a darkly satiric vision of a utopian future where humans are genetically bred and pharmaceutically anesthetized to passively serve a ruling order. A powerful work of speculative fiction that has enthralled and terrified readers for generations. It remains remarkably relevant to this day, as both a warning to be heeded as we head into tomorrow, and as thought-provoking, satisfying entertainment. Yeah, really good book. Scary. These dystopian books really kind of freak me out, but they're so fun to read. Good one. Oh, okay. This is probably like in my top 3. Space Opera by Catherine M. Valenti. Okay, I kind of just picked this up randomly. This is actually my second copy. I lent my original copy to my friend. I got this before I went on a trip, and my sister, when we were on vacation, my sister, she is a swimmer, and she wanted to practice at the local YMCA, and so it was this cool, like, nice outdoor pool. And while she was swimming, I read this book, and yeah, I guess that's kind of another reason why I liked it. It's kind of like a memory association, you know. It makes me think of that really fun trip. Okay, I'm gonna read the back. It's actually a really good blurb. It probably, yeah. It's a goofy book. It's funny, but it's sci-fi. Once every cycle, the great galactic civilizations gather for the Metagalactic Grand Prix. Species far and wide compete in feats of song, dance, and or whatever facsimile of these can be performed by various creatures who may or may not possess, in the traditional sense, feet, mouths, larynxes, or faces. And if A new species should wish to be counted among the high and the mighty. Sorry, the font is really small, so it's hard for me to read. If a new planet has produced some savage group of animals, machines, or algae that claims to be against all odds sentient, well, then they have to compete, and if they fail, sudden extermination for their entire species. So Decibel Jones and the Absolute Zeros, that's the band from Earth that gets chosen. Um, and they're like this washed up, like super gross band. And they're like the last defense for Earth. It's kind of reminiscent of like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. But yeah, really good one. Oh, that reminds me, that's another really good one. I also really liked Songs from a Distant Earth. I forget who that's by. I used to have that. That's another good sci-fi book. Okay, space opera. Love that one. Okay. Okay. So the next one is The Crystal Cave by Mary Stewart. It's the story of Merlin through like Merlin's perspective. Um, Born the bastard son of a Welsh princess, Merlin Emrys, or Murden, yeah, or as he would later be known, Merlin, leads perilous childhood, haunted by portents and visions, but destiny has great plans for this no man's son, taking him from prophesying. I totally forgot that was a word, before the High King Vortigern, to the crowning of Uther Pendragon and the conception of Arthur, king for once and always. Yeah, I mean, everybody kind of knows the Merlin King Arthur story, but um, I think this is a series. I only read this book. I haven't read the other ones, but I remember just loving this. Yeah, it's really good. Good fantasy. Yeah, I can't really go into too much detail about most of these books because it's been so long. Okay, this is Andrew Holleran, Dancer from the Dance. This was one of the books I read most recently. Yeah, it's just, I don't read a lot of, what's it called? Like, realistic fiction. But I really liked this. I need to get a better chair. This chair sucks. One of the most important works of gay literature, this haunting, brilliant novel, is a seriocomic remembrance of things past and still poignantly present. It depicts the adventures of Malone, a beautiful young man searching for love amid New York's emerging gay scene. From Manhattan's emerald paths and after hours discos to Fire Island's deserted parks and lavish orgies, Malone looks high and low for meaningful companionship. The person he finds is Sutherland, a campy quintessential queen, and one of the most memorable literary creations of contemporary fiction. Hilarious, witty, and ultimately heartbreaking, Dancer from the Dance is truthful, provocative, outrageous fiction told in a voice as close to laughter as to tears. I was working a security job, a nighttime security job. I don't know what the hell that was. I was working a nighttime security job, and the shifts would honestly be pretty boring. And I read this, and yeah, I thought it was just a really beautiful gay novel. I think it's regarded as like one of the best LGBT books. Yeah, it's beautiful. I hope they make like a movie of this. That would be great. Okay. Um, Next, I've talked about my love for this book, The Hobbit. Um, I think I really like it the most. Well, it's not number one, but um, it might be number one actually. I don't know. I'm not gonna read the back because everybody should know The Hobbit. makes me think of my family. And this world that J.R.R. Tolkien created is just incredible. I think Lord of the Rings is one of the greatest trilogies of all time. Um, Great fantasy work. Great, great, great literary achievement. I'm gonna read you somebody I work with uh, borrowed my copy, um, and she gave me a copy of a poem or a song from, I think, The Fellowship of the Ring. Um, and she printed it out for me. It was really nice. It's the Bath song. Um, Actually, I'm not gonna read it right now because this video is already getting long. Okay, next is 1984 by George Orwell. I actually just picked this up recently because I wanted a copy of this. I thought this was a cool cover. I feel like another book everybody's read. And if you haven't, another high recommendation. This is like such a scary book. I think it's terrifying. Yeah, it's so dystopian. Really scary future. Um, Set in Oceania, like a fiction. I know Oceania is a real continent, but in this, it's like a fictional country. Um, yeah, if you haven't read this, you have to read it. It's just like one of the greatest books of all time. Um, I read it in high school or middle school. Just love it. Love it. Okay, this is my favorite book of all time, A Confederacy of Dunces. Um, I haven't read it in a long time, but I remember it. I was going through kind of a really dark, depressed, anxious time, and I read this, and it really like brightened my life a little bit. Um, it's about a man who really thinks really highly of himself. He totally like total grandiosity. He thinks so highly of himself. He thinks he's smarter than everyone. But really, he's this like kind of stupid, lazy prick. He's just like not a nice guy. Um, and he treats his mom poorly. And the characters are so funny in this. And the story of John Kennedy Toole is very interesting. Sad, but it won the Pulitzer Prize. My mom got me this for Christmas a couple years ago. She said it was the funniest book she's ever read, and I totally agree. It's so hilarious. It's like a laugh out loud funny book. I think some people it's totally irreverent. Like so like it can be offensive and probably I mean it's an old book. Not old, but it's from the 70s, I think. And like some of the stuff in there is probably offensive, but it's so funny and original. There's like nothing I've ever read like this. Um oh there's a page missing. Um it kind of reminds me of um what's it called? Catcher in the Rye. Just kind of how it's like train of thought, stream of thought, just the craziest dialogue you'll ever hear. Ignatius, funny guy. Yeah, he has like I think he has a bird. Um, I guess it's on the cover. Yeah, it's just such a goofy book. I remember sitting at an airport, literally not being able to control my laughter. And I hate being noticed at the airport. It's such an awkward place. Um, yeah, he's in love with. I'm pretty sure he's in love with like a hooker or a stripper or something. I love sex workers. Total support. Um, but yeah, it's it's a crazy book, and it's just really it's a good time. It's sometimes I didn't know what was going on, but it was just so funny that it didn't matter. But yeah, those are my favorite books of all time. Um, I'm gonna try to get back into reading. I don't really read super serious books. My life is already serious. Um, you'll see me in this UW shirt again. I'm gonna film another video, possibly tonight, maybe tomorrow. I'm kind of tired, and I'm gonna watch Flow, the movie that won the Golden Globe for Best Animated Film.